Have you ever found yourself saying yes when you desperately wanted to say no? Or maybe you constantly worry about what others think of you, changing your behavior to fit in or be liked. If this sounds familiar, you might be a people pleaser. It's more than just being nice. It's a deep-seated compulsion to put others' needs before your own, often at your own expense. But where does this come from? Why do so many of us fall into this pattern? Today, we're going to dive deep and unmask the hidden triggers of people-pleasing behavior. It's a journey that often leads us back to our earliest days, to the very foundation of how we learned to relate to the world and to ourselves. The roots of people-pleasing are often planted in the soil of our childhood. Think back to your early life. Did you feel like you had to earn love and approval from your parents or caregivers? This is a concept known as conditional love. It's the idea that affection and validation are not given freely, but are instead rewards for good behavior, for meeting certain expectations, or for achieving specific goals. A child who grows up in this kind of environment quickly learns a powerful, often unspoken rule: to be loved. I must be what they want me to be. This might mean getting straight A's, being the quiet and obedient child, or excelling in sports. The child learns that their worth is not inherent, but is tied to their performance and their ability to please others. When love is a transaction, a child starts to believe that their authentic self, with all its messy emotions and imperfect desires, is not worthy of love. They learn to suppress their own needs, feelings, and wants to make sure they receive the affection and security they crave. This isn't a conscious choice a child makes. It's a survival strategy. They adapt to their environment to secure the most critical resource for their development, a sense of belonging and attachment. The message they internalize is clear: my needs don't matter as much as their needs. My happiness depends on their happiness. This sets the stage for a lifetime of self-neglect, where the habit of ignoring one's own well-being in favor of others becomes second nature. It's a pattern that feels safe and familiar, even when it leads to burnout, resentment, and a profound sense of emptiness later in life. One of the most significant consequences of growing up with conditional love is the struggle to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are essentially the invisible lines we draw around ourselves to protect our physical, emotional, and mental well-being. They define what we are and are not okay with. But if you were taught from a young age that your primary job was to keep others happy, the very concept of a personal boundary can feel foreign, selfish, or even dangerous. You might not have been allowed to say no to a hug, to express disagreement with an adult, or to have private time for yourself. Every time a personal limit was crossed without consequence, the lesson was reinforced: my boundaries are not important. Other people's desires come first. This lack of unconditional love creates a fundamental confusion about where you end and another person begins. As an adult, this can manifest in many ways. You might find it impossible to say no to extra work assignments, even when you're already overloaded. You might lend money you can't afford to spare, or stay in draining conversations long after you've wanted to leave. You see, when you don't have a strong internal sense of your own limits, you rely on external cues to guide you. You look to others for approval, and saying no feels like a direct path to disapproval or conflict, which your childhood programming has taught you to avoid at all costs. The fear of rejection or abandonment can be so powerful that it overrides your own need for rest, respect, and autonomy. This is how the pattern of self-neglect becomes a fortress, trapping you in a cycle of pleasing others while ignoring yourself. Now let's talk about a deeper layer of this issue: emotional neglect. Emotional neglect isn't about what your parents did. It's about what they didn't do. It's the failure of caregivers to respond to a child's emotional needs. Maybe when you were sad, you were told to stop crying or toughen up. When you were angry, you were sent to your room. When you were excited, you were told to calm down. In these moments, your feelings weren't validated, they were dismissed. The message you received was that your emotions were wrong, inconvenient, or too much for others to handle. You learned that showing your true feelings could lead to disapproval or being ignored. So, what does a child do in this situation? They learn to disconnect from their emotions. They start to believe their feelings are unreliable or even shameful. This is a critical piece of the people-pleasing puzzle. If you can't trust your own feelings, how can you know what you truly want or need? How can you set a boundary if you can't even identify the feeling of discomfort or resentment that signals a boundary has been crossed? People who experienced emotional neglect often become hyper-tuned to the emotions of others instead. They become expert mind readers, constantly scanning the room, trying to anticipate what everyone else needs and wants so they can adjust their own behavior accordingly. It's another survival tactic. If I can make everyone else happy, then I'll be safe. I won't be rejected. But this constant external focus leaves a huge internal void. You become a stranger to yourself. This brings us to the core issue for many people pleasers: a profound difficulty in trusting their own feelings. Think of your emotions as an internal guidance system. Your gut feeling, that sense of unease, or a wave of joy are all pieces of data that help you navigate the world. They tell you what's good for you and what's not. But if you grew up in a home where your feelings were consistently ignored or invalidated, you learn to turn down the volume on that internal guidance system. You stop trusting it. Instead, you start trusting other people's opinions and reactions more than your own. An adult who struggles to trust their own feelings will constantly seek external validation. Before making a decision, they'll poll all their friends. They'll obsess over whether they said the right thing in a conversation. They'll feel a deep sense of anxiety when someone is upset with them, immediately assuming they are the one at fault. Their own internal sense of right and wrong is weak because it was never nurtured. They look outside for the answers that should be coming from within. This is why people-pleasing feels so compulsive. It's not just a bad habit, it's a deeply ingrained distrust of your own emotional reality. Breaking free from this pattern means embarking on a journey to reconnect with that inner voice, to learn to listen to it, and, most importantly, to trust it again. So, how do we begin to heal? The first step is awareness. Recognizing these patterns in your own life is a huge victory. Understand that your people-pleasing isn't a character flaw. It's a learned coping mechanism that once helped you survive. It's about learning to reparent yourself with the unconditional love you may not have received. This means practicing self-compassion, allowing yourself to feel your emotions without judgment. Start small. Try to identify one feeling you're having right now. Is it curiosity, fatigue, anxiety? Just name it. You don't have to do anything about it. Just acknowledge its presence. The next step is to slowly and carefully begin practicing boundary setting. It will feel uncomfortable, even terrifying at first. Start with low-stakes situations. Say, "Let me think about it and get back to you," instead of an automatic yes. Or maybe you can set a small boundary with yourself, like dedicating 10 minutes a day to an activity that is just for you, with no other purpose than your own enjoyment. Each time you honor your own need or set a small boundary, you are sending a new message to your brain. My needs matter. My feelings are valid. I am worthy of my own care. This is not a quick fix. It's a process of unlearning decades of conditioning and building a new relationship with yourself. It takes courage and persistence. If you find these patterns are deeply affecting your life and mental health, seeking support from a therapist or counselor can be incredibly beneficial. A professional can provide a safe space to explore these childhood wounds and develop new, healthier ways of relating to yourself and others. Remember, you deserve to take up space in the world. You deserve to have your needs met. You deserve to be loved for who you are, not for what you can do for others. The journey to authenticity starts with one small step. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore this important topic. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content on personal growth and mental well-being. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your own experiences. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.